Editing is incredibly important to the look of a finished film. Of course, it's one of the key creative parts of the process. With cinematography, production design, editing, they are the three paramounts for the actual look of the film. The editor spends more creative time with the film than anyone else in the process, apart from perhaps the director. So they have... You've heard the term that films can either be made or broken in the editing, and it's absolutely true. I mean, it's one thing to cut something together and just have it work, and you might look at it and say, fine, yes, that looks good. But to actually have it come to life, actually have it sing, actually have it turn into a story where the viewer is not aware of the fact that they're watching something mechanically made, but they fall into the story, they become emotionally involved. That's the real power of editing. Fix it in post is a horrible catchphrase that's used on set a lot, and I admit that I've done it myself. I know what the situations are like on set, but I would say that anything that you intended to do on set and that you arranged to do that way, follow through and do it, because trying to artificially create something in post is never going to look quite as good. Finding the right editor for your project when you're out shopping for one is really important, the same as your DOP or sound people, the composer, anyone. It's really, really important because as the director, you spend so much time with the editor in that tiny little room arguing over creative decision making. So it's really important to get someone that you click with, that on a personal level, that you like, that you get along with as a person. I think that's really, really important in the edit suite. Of course, you need to, up front, you need to make sure that they're capable of doing the job. So go out and make sure that you ask them to see as much of their work as you can, and then you'll see whether they're first competent or whether they've also got the style that kind of fits the vision that you have for your project as the director. The point where the editor becomes involved with the project seems to vary depending on the director and the project itself. I always think the earlier the better. The more they can become familiar with the script and the process of working it up. Even being there on set can really help for the editor to tap into what the director's creative vision is for the project. So the earlier the better, I think. The editor has to read the screenplay. It's kind of a strange question in that how can they sit down in the edit suite with 50 hours of footage and not know what they're making? Yes, they have to be intimately familiar with the script long before they sit down in the edit suite with the footage. Personally, I still use the same software that I've been using for probably the last 10 years. For a few reasons. I mean, I have upgraded things, of course. I've mostly upgraded hardware. I've been using Final Cut Pro, as a lot of other people do. Before that, I had a long stretch of using Avid. That was when that's when I was taking on freelance work where you'd have to go to their edit suite, and it was mostly Avid. So when I set up my own suite at home, it was Final Cut. Of course, now that Apple have moved on to Final Cut 10, I'm going to need to make that leap, but I'm facing the same problem that most editors using old Final Cut are facing, is that the old projects don't completely fit into the new version of Final Cut. But I will have to make the leap, or I will have to, as the hardware and the OSs move upwards, this version of Final Cut is getting closer and closer to not being able to work. That comes up a lot, and there is no this is the way it has to be done, or if you do this then you will get work. There's no pattern. All I can say is, for me, it was a matter of getting some study is great. It's really about experience. Get some projects. Either if you're doing things with friends, you're doing assistant work for other people, just get in front of a suite and get editing. And that way, when you go to people, you can say, look, this is what I've done. That's the biggest, most important thing you can have under your arm when you walk into any job, or if you go for anything, is experience. It's something you can show them.